So yesterday was media day for the New York Knicks, and boy, was there a lot of big updates. The first one being Malcolm Brogdon. So he is expected to play a large role for the Knicks off of the bench, which certainly means that Bacoma is more than likely on his way out because the Knicks can't financially afford both Shamit and Brogdon. Absolutely, they could just move on from Shamit and keep Gagne, but Shamit wouldn't have signed with the Knicks unless he knew he was going to make the roster. They say it's a training camp competition, but it really isn't. Like Brogdon and Shamit are both making the roster from sources all around the league, like Shams and James Edwards of The Athletic, who writes for us. Mike Brown also wouldn't name a fifth starter, and I actually like this because it's kind of lame just going into training camp and being like, "Oh, yeah, it's gonna be Cat and Josh Hart, or it's gonna be Cat and Mitchell Robinson, or it's gonna be Cat and Deuce McBride." Why not make it a competition and let the best man win? Because just because Mikhail Bridges signed an extension, OG Anunoby signed an extension, doesn't mean that they should certainly be starting. Now, they most definitely will, but I want to see Deuce and Mitchell Robinson compete with Josh Hart or even Mikhail for that final starting spot. It just makes too much sense. And that kind of brings me to my next point, and that's going to be Josh Hart. Now, I'm not trying to sit up here and act like I know what's best for him, but I find it very, very discouraging that Hart re-aggravated that finger injury. According to him, he did have surgery on it. It just doesn't look good. I'll put a picture on the screen for you guys right here. As you can see, it's still swollen. It's just disoriented. It just doesn't look right. And you can absolutely make an argument that, hey, look, Josh Hart's already not a good shooter. Is it the biggest deal? It kind of is, because if Hart is starting, well, now you have an even worse shooting Josh Hart. Teams were able to construct a game plan defensively against the Knicks offense. All they did was put their big on Hart and then put a fast, lengthy wing on Cat, and it worked. It certainly did. I mean, the Knicks, with their starting five last season, the whole year, so Brunson, McHale, OG, Hart, and Cat, they were 3.3 points above zero. So that means they're winning possessions 3.3 points. That is very, very bad. Super, super bad for a team trying to win a championship. And then you insert Mitchell Robinson instead of Hart, and it was a little bit better, but clearly Hart being in the starting lineup, or even with Mitch, there's just too many deficiencies. So it's up to Mike Brown to be able to do what Tibbs could and make adjustments and help this team win. Because in Eastern Conference Finals is awesome, man. I mean, that was the best season of my life as a Knicks fan because I wasn't old enough during the Ewing, when all those days when they went to the finals. I want to see this team go to the championship. I want to see them win a championship. They've got the team to do it. Now to this point, it's not about talent. Leon Rose has done enough. It's simply just about coaching. And that's why I like the addition of Mike Brown, because this team's going to play faster. The defense should actually be better than it was with Tibbs. And speaking of Brown, he said the rotation is going to be between 9 to 10 guys. It's definitely cool to see the rotation be expanded. But is it just me, or does 9 to 10 guys actually not seem enough? The starting five, and then you've got Deuce, Clarkson, Yabasele, that's already 8. Mitchell Robinson is 9. And then 10 is Malcolm Brogdon. So if there's 9 to 10 guys, that means that Landry Shamet, Bacome Dadier, who's probably going to be moved, so that's a bad example. Tyler Kolek, Errol Hugporty. I know I'm missing someone. I think that's it. Yeah, it just 9 to 10 doesn't actually seem enough, especially because there's no Tatum, there's no Halliburton. When you want to just make the rotation as big as possible and just go to the playoffs healthy, seeding doesn't matter. The Pistons, the Cavs, the Bucks, there's tough matchups, but just staying healthy is the biggest thing. I don't know. Let me know if you guys disagree. In terms of other news that was talked about, going to go down through the notes that I took during it yesterday. Yeah, we talked about that. What have I not talked about? That's actually everything. So I guess my final takeaway from Mike Brown is that he does expect to make changes. He already has the rotation. He expects to play quicker. Oh yeah, another thing as well is he wants to play Jalen Brunson more off of the ball. He did mention about late games it's going to be in his hands, which is pretty obvious. But Brunson didn't play off the ball at all with Coach Thibodeau. Even when he came in his first season, he was always dominating the basketball. Randall had his fair share of it in his hands, but getting Brunson off the ball, moving off of screens and catching and shooting is only going to make everyone better. especially late into the season, because by game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Brunson, he wasn't exhausted, he wasn't gassed, he still had plenty in the tank, but you could tell that it definitely was getting to him, the full court pressing and all the hits he was taking and the physicality of the Pacers. And a large reason for that is that, well, the Pacers were running 12, 13 guys, and the Knicks weren't. The Knicks were running 6, 7 men for a while, and eventually it just kind of caught up to them. A smaller guard, 6'2", can only endure so much hits and so much press and things like that. You got TJ McConnell, who's just coming off the bench fresh, pressing Brunson every chance he gets. So getting him off the ball, and we talked about that. Bringing in Malcolm Brogdon makes a lot of sense because he can handle the ball versus like Deuce McBride, who's kind of an all-ball guard playing the two. Landry Shamet, his ability as well to just kind of at least create. I mean, we saw it a little bit in the playoffs. He can kind of have a guy fly at him on a blow by and then just pull up for a mid range or something like that. So just the more guards and wings, the better for Jalen Brunson. But I still do stand on the best possible thing is putting defense around Cat and Brunson. And that's why I'm honestly leaning towards Mitchell Robinson. If I was Mike Brown, I would start Cat and Mitch, and then I'd have Porty just be the big off the bench. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I do think Josh Hart's going to start, but I just there's too many issues with Hart because he's 6'4", he can't shoot, and you can construct a game plan around him. Whereas Mitchell Robinson, you just can't. Like all you can do to Mitch is just foul him and have him miss free throws so he comes out of the game. That's what JB Bickerstaff talked about. That's what Joe Mazzulla talked about. Hey, look, let's get Mitch out of the game. If you're scheming Josh Hart, you want him in the game, and I'm not trying to belittle or Josh Hart because I love Josh Hart, man. Like if I could get one jersey right now, I probably would be Josh Hart. But it's just off of the bench with that second unit pushing the pace, getting boards, things like that. Like Hart is just to me is more of a second unit, like a very very top tier upper echelon second unit guy. I know he said he's a starter. I just don't know if I believe that, man. I think if the Knicks really want to get to where they need to go, they have to put size and defense next to Cat because Brunson and Cat defensively is absolutely putrid. We're talking about two bottom 5 defenders, absolutely top 10 offensive players in the league in general, not at their position. I mean, Cat is a 24 points per game scorer on over 50% from the field and over 40% from three. I mean, that is unheard of in the history of basketball. A big man with that type of efficiency and range, but how much does it matter if you can't get a stop? It was just bad. I'm gonna be honest. It was bad watching the Knicks in the playoffs often at times because they just couldn't stop a fly. And there's a reason why the Knicks were very, very good when Brunson was on the bench and Cat was on the floor, and they were good when Brunson was out there and Cat wasn't. It just goes to show these guys can't really play together. The offense is not an issue for the Knicks. I love the addition of Jordan Clarkson. But I'm really excited about Brogdon and Yabusele. I think defensively they're going to be good. And Mitch to me is probably outside of Brunson the most important player on this team. We saw that in the playoffs. I mean, when Mitch comes out there, everything changes. Like teams are absolutely terrified of him. Can Mitch endure 82 games of starting is the question. I don't know, but that's why, hey, look, if you're the Knicks, hey, let's carry an Alex Len or let's carry a Trey Jemison with Porty. They won't do that, but I think everything has to be on the table to this point. But that's what I took away from yesterday. It's media day. It's your boy Nick Daly. I'm going to sign out here. Peace.